Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blitzkrieg, our own strategic affairs show. There is so much information coming out of Pakistan, so many news and views that are coming out of Pakistan, that it tends to get confusing. Is Imran Khan going? Is Imran Khan not going? Is Pakistan Tehrik-e-Insaf in a majority? Is it in a minority? Does it have the backing of the establishment? Does it not have the backing of the establishment? To get clarity on these issues, we have two special guests. We have Professor Nalapat with us, a known name in strategic affairs circles. And we have Adnan Qaiser joining us from Pakistan. Gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome to both of you. I'll go to Adnan Qaiser first. And Adnan, my question to you is simple. We have heard a lot of information. We get a lot of information from Pakistan, generally through social media and also through the mainstream media. There are intellectuals in Pakistan who are saying that Imran Khan's time is over, not necessarily on 20th of November, but in future course, Imran Khan will go. It is not just that he has chosen to lock horns with his own army chief, it's also because of the performance. And now the people on the street and the intellectuals are questioning the people who brought Imran Khan to power, asking them, what are you doing and why have you kept this man on this chair and what is he doing about it? The country is going through an economic crisis, loans are piling up, and Imran Khan's performance is something that is causing nightmares to Pakistanis. This is from the Pakistani media. Adnan, I'd like your comments. You have 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Gaurav, for inviting me at your program. It's a great privilege to be at your program. It's a very distinguished platform. So understand, first of all, you Indians are more accustomed to a better democracy. You see, you are lauded for having one of the best democracies in the world. So we are going through the teething stages of our democracy. So, unfortunately, Pakistan could not carry out structural reforms in its polity for the past about 73, 74 years. So now, we are seeing those problems facing us, may it be in the political structure or in the economic spheres. So we are having problems. So that is one, we have to admit that. But with regards to Prime Minister Imran Khan, these are all speculations. There are gossips, and which in every vibrant democracy, there are people who are talking with different views and opinions. So, and secondly, there are not confirmed reports. When you say that there is a section of people who say that Imran Khan or the PTI government was brought into power through certain maneuvering by, you can call establishment or certain hidden factors, but that has not been proven. There are speculations, I agree, but unfortunately, we do not know what is stored in the future. So we understand that the government, ran through 33 ordinances yesterday in the parliament by having a joint session of parliament. The governments are not run through ordinances. So there has to be a consensus. There has to be a parliamentary consensus. So there are problems, but we cannot say that the Prime Minister Imran Khan is going. Those people who are allegedly had been backing Prime Minister Imran Khan and the PTI government have a change of heart. So there is nothing confirmed. But Prime Minister Imran Khan and his PTI has a limited majority, a very thin margin through his allies. So the government can go anytime. In every democracy, it's a number game. Anytime the opposition brings more numbers in the parliament, then the government goes. So that is the crux of the democracy. But again, this is the beauty of democracy, that the people, that the voice of people is represented in the parliament, and that is heard. So we cannot say that the government's days are numbered. We do not know. Secondly, it's more important that this is all speculation about the the PTI being backed by the establishment or any hidden factors. It is not confirmed. There had been a very clear and margin through which PTI government came into power 3 years ago. There had been problems. There had been flaws. Their outlook, their policies had been, we can debate that there had been, they could not do well with regards to the political and economic reforms, because we understand that Pakistan needs structural reforms in all spheres of life, in judiciary, as well as in economy, as well as in the political system. But unfortunately, we could not do it. And Pakistan is on course towards it. I always, normally I use a quote that Rome was not built in one day. But then one day, somebody started building Rome, and the rest is history. So the same thing is happening in Pakistan. We may be 74, 73 years late.
All right.
But now there is a reckoning. There is an understanding that, we had been late. We have to correct our path, our political path, as well as our economic reforms, so as to, become stable economically and obviously, be a responsible state. FATF is one of the elements. Pakistan is bringing a lot of reforms into its economic, financial sector.
All right, Adnan. My apologies for interrupting you, Adnan. I'll have to go to Professor Nalapat. We have limited time. Adnan, I'll go back to you. Last year in the Islamabad dialogues, General Qamar Javed Bajwa made a very mature and a statesman-like comment. And I appreciate that comment of General Bajwa. He says, it is time to look beyond geostrategy. It is a time to look at geoeconomics. Now, this is sage, mature advice, right? This is mature advice coming from the army chief. I wish Imran Khan had spoken those words, because he is people say selected, elected, whatever. He is the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And this should have come from Imran Khan. Why doesn't Imran Khan understand that power flows from the economy? Power does not flow from nuclear weapons. It does not flow from the army. Power flows from the economy. And what General Bajwa said about geoeconomics was very apt, and not just for Pakistan. It is apt for every single country on earth. Why can't Imran Khan just for once listen to his army chief?
Imran Khan had been a rookie prime minister, if you allow me to say that. He had been naive. First of all, I commend you, Gaurav, for having a very intellectual debate at this platform, and I really appreciate the Professor Saab, because whatever he has said is absolutely right, barring a few comments which he has made about the divide and rule, which to an extent could be correct. But understand, your viewers must understand the DNA or the dynamics of Pakistan's polity. When Pakistan came into being, since then it had been called as a national security state. Facing existential threat. I often say that, there are four countries in the world: Taiwan, South Korea, Israel, and Pakistan, who were designated as the national security state, facing existential threat. But after the nuclear explosions of 1998, so that thing had been addressed. But unfortunately, Pakistan had been experimenting with what you call as the controlled democracy. Since President Ayub Khan and afterwards President Ziaul Haq and everyone. So, President Musharraf used to often use a phrase that in order to take the army out of the politics, you have to bring it in. So Jan Karamat had also proposed this idea of making a national security council in which the army has its role. So, unfortunately, until that, we have to accept this fact that the army has a major role in the political system of Pakistan. Divide and rule, I don't see. The military has a very correct realization. And if you see the yesterday's newspaper, there had been media reports, that the military told the parliamentarians when there was a closed-door session in the parliament, and which General Bajwa and gave a national security briefing to the parliamentarians, that they told them that, we cannot join the Chinese camp by annoying the United States. So there is a reckoning. So the military has been prodding the politicians to get their acts together, to realize the judiciary also. But unfortunately, by the Constitution of 1973, the onus lies on the civilian government. But the civilian governments, unfortunately, have not come up to the task. They had failed in their responsibilities. They could not bring structural reforms that could guide Pakistan or could steer Pakistan towards a more mature polity. And this is one of the factors that the military stays into the public limelight.
Absolutely, Adnan. Thank you very much. Jen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'm absolutely out of time. The last 2 minutes I will give to Adnan. Adnan, my question on the economy remains unanswered. What is Imran Khan doing for the economy? 2.5 minutes, sir, then I'm closing this debate. What is Imran Khan doing about the economy? It's hemorrhaging now.
I come to your point quickly about the diplomatic isolation of Pakistan. That is not correct. Unfortunately, CPAC, obviously, I agree, has stalled or slowed down, if not stalled. So, but the diplomatic isolation is not correct.
Absolutely.
Pakistan had played a very vital role in Afghanistan, and the international community is cognizant about Pakistan's role and its geostrategic and geopolitical importance in the future. I quickly come to Prime Minister Imran Khan's issue. Prime Minister Imran Khan has transformed, and if you recall, in the past, he was condemned or labeled as Taliban Khan in the past because of he at one stage he offered to open an office of Taliban, the TTP, in Peshawar. So he had a naive or a limited understanding about the issues which Pakistan faces. Pakistan has faced a lot of terrorism which emanated from the western borders, and but unfortunately, this Brown Sahib theory, which Professor Saab had been propounding, that has transformed Imran Khan into a spiritual or a religious person now. But the last point,
yes, absolutely. Adnan, I'm sorry, I'm absolutely out of time. I would like to thank both Professor Nalapat and Adnan Qaiser for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.